combatants, militant warriors, foot soldiers, political paratroopers of Liberia's fastest growing mass-based democratic revolutionary movement, the Indomitable Martyr Coalition for Democratic Change. So, we want to use this opportunity to bring you one revolutionary greetings from the wounds and mattresses of the man who presides on the tripartite sessions of the Indomitable Martyr Coalition for Democratic Change. So, in presence of Comrade Chairperson Mobake Moludinium, we also want to take this time to bring you greetings from the officers of the Chairperson of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Martyr Coalition for Democratic Change. So, we also bring you greetings from the Governing Council, the National Executive Committee, and the fighting forces of the Indomitable Martyr Coalition for Democratic Change. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the folk estate, today's revolutionary press conference is part of the many press conferences that this party has always had, as a matter of fact, as a governing institution. Whenever there are critical national issues that border on governance, that border on the survivability, that border on the struggle history of our party, it is always incumbent upon this institution, which serves as the first line of defense of the downtrodden masses, to always speak to the press and engage the press and inform the Liberian people about the happening of the country and provide a direct revolutionary way forward for the democratic forward march mobility of the masses of our people. On the basis of that, we want to use this opportunity this time to bring to your attention, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, that today's press conference is about critical national issues, specifically with reference and emphasis on what's obtaining at the level of the LTA, which is the Liberia Telecommunication Authority. So the party will be given an official position and will dive into other issues pertaining to the growth and development of not only the party when it comes to the governing architecture of the Republic of Liberia. So, against that backdrop, comrades and friends, let me use the time to recognize the presence of Montserrat County Women's League leadership. Put the hands together for them. Also, let me take this time to recognize the Youth League representation in the 17 electoral districts of Montserrat County. Put the hands together for them. Let us recognize our mothers and the standing soldiers of the Martyr Coalition for Democratic Change. So, now at this critical juncture, permit me to bring on stage the man who will pave the way for the most powerful chairman in the history of political party governance, the man who will pave the way for the official position of our party. Is no other person else but your humble soldier, an accomplished revolutionary egalitarian, an intellectual workaholic, and youth leader par excellence, Comrade Chairperson, who will speak in his official capacity as Chairperson of the tripartite sessions of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Martyr Coalition for Democratic Change. Comrade Chairperson Adelord Jefferson Tamakoji Tama Jefferson. Put the hands together.
Amanda! Wait! Amanda! Wait! Amanda! Wait! Amanda! Wait!
Amanda, taking into consideration the data, the journalists, as I see on their faces, the more we use to sting everything of the data. And they don't seem to be too interested, but don't worry. That's why we have the CDC here for. where you cannot reach and what you cannot do. The party was funded by chosen people of this country. We want to say we are very grateful at this time. We are very grateful. We want to use this time to welcome the prize for always taking upon your time to communicate fully happenings and events of our country, particularly the Multi Coalition for Democratic Change.
Sir.
To you, our partisans, our mothers and our sisters and brothers, family people as a whole, today is a unique day for us. We are more pleased and humble. This is a call to duty. Against our backdrop, we have come from the direct mandate of the Governing Council and the chairperson of the Multi Coalition of Democratic Change,
Sir.
a compatriot, a revolutionary, an ideologue, Moba K. Maru, has been given the mandate to fully communicate to our people our vision and aspiration as a governing party, our official position about happening. And I want to say to you, whenever we get here, we speak in the capacity of our party duty, not as our national responsibility in the governing structure of our country. On this note, we will be drawing you through, as you may be aware, about happenings of our country, particularly have to relate to the communication event that is currently taking place. We know LTA, we know that's actually, and for us, it's not like people who try to photocopy and people who try to pretend. People who were yesteryears beneficiary of the spoils of our society, today they are pretending to be injurers and advocates. But we are very confident in the understanding of our people, because our people know very well, and that's why we normally say to you, the masses know their leaders. You do not defeat and you do not deceive them. They know them very well. Like we said to you, yesteryears, characters, elements who benefited from the spoils of this society. And today, when our people are still trying to nurse their wounds, today they are parading and projecting themselves as advocates of our people. What we have come to say to you, the party, as you may be aware, the bulwark of defense of the sovereign people of this country, as she have always been. We have come to give an official position. We have critically analyzed, investigated, and not presenting to you on the basis of lies, on the basis of trying to generate public sentiment. But we know exactly how things are. Our hatred speaks louder for us. And that's what we say to you. Ask them. Don't go too far. Ask them for their 12-year records. What were they engaged into? What have been their associates? Who they associated with yesteryears before? When you ask them those questions, it will bring you to a critical conclusion about who they are. Against that backdrop, we, like we said to you, we do not compete. We lead and they follow. And that's why you see today we hear them saying something. They're trying to duplicate what
photo shoot avocat, your cap, yeah.
Because you, the people, know them very well, and we understand it very well, and that's why we are not bothered about the dramatization about their engagement. The party being a people-driven, mass-oriented, defender of the poor and poorest of the poor. We've come today to say to you categorically clear, for our engagement, we want to commend the President for his developmental engagement over the period of time. While they are seeking to destroy and embarrass our people and celebrate, this president is focused, this president is committed, this president is doing exactly what the CDC have asked him to do. And that's why we made him president. Because we know exactly that he understands what it takes. He knows our situation. He has been there, gone there, gotten tested, walked through the path of our people. So it's easy for him to know exactly the needs and aspirations of our people. I want to say congratulations for the groundbreaking ceremony of the Douala, the modern Douala market that is expected to be constructed very soon. And like the way the president said, when we are engaged in the development, you don't see them. How dare you say you love the people? When the market will be built, it's not for the president relatives, not for the chairman, model relative, Nigga Jefferson, Koji relative. It is for the Liberian people. Even though people, food that you eat to your respective homes are purchased in those newly beautiful, modernized market being constructed by the president. But yet instead you deny it, you condemn it. That is called naked pretense. You don't care for the people. When, like we said to them, they will now find the courage to come and associate themselves with positive things. But they will quickly join. Today they're trying to abuse what's happening in our data. They want to stage manage. Some of them have got to realize that elections are no more theirs. They do not have the discipline, the democratic discipline to go through the process, but they are engaged into tactics and drama to undermine the peace and stability of our country. But before we call the chairperson in to read the official statement, we want to use this time, as the head of the young people of this party, please remain peaceful. Like we said to you, 2017, with all of the tactics, engage into non-violent, even when they tempt you, use the ballot boxes to restrict them, to teach them that the Liberia you want is a peaceful Liberia where each and every of us can coexist. I want to say to you young people, especially partisans, non-political actors who have stake in our country, I want to say remain peaceful, because the man in which that bear our standard is a paragon of peace. His Excellency George Manawia. So partisans, no matter what they say to you, partisans, no matter what they attempt to derail you for your path, we stand before you as your true leader. Do not be deterred, do not be distracted. Remain peaceful. Let us go to the ballot box. Let us defeat them. You know, one way out is violent, is war. And that's why they came to power through the battle guns, through the barrels of guns here. But for you, you came through the battle boxes. So we must maintain that. On this note, the party will officially tell you, after its engagement with stakeholders, especially the president of the country, this party was elected for the poor people. Anything that affects the poor people will rush to the defense of our people. For us, your interests matter to us first. And that's why we are here.
Allemand Congrès. Allemand Congrès. Congress coming. Emancipation coming. Allemand Congrès. Luta continua.
So for us, your interests remain extremely paramount to us. That's why we are here. Anything that affects you, affects the CDC. Most especially you, the vulnerable people. It is because of you we came to this revolution. This revolution was born on your backs. You took the blunt of suffering to bring us here today. And this government cannot sit supinely and watch you crumble in suffering. There may be complexity in suffering those issues, but do not be deceived. Those that you have trusted this country with, they understand, especially the president, will solve those issues in front of the analysis. They realize all of the debate they have raised here was the rate was high. You don't hear them talk about the rate anymore. They talk about all those because they are fake people. They are deceitful people. So they go off, they go after issues, sentimental issues. Issues that have no bearing, issues that have no long-lasting substance, but just temporary bearing. And when we push them and push them into the dustbin, then they left with no issues now, and they want to deceive you. But the party have got solution for you. On this note, I'm pleased and honored to say to you, the ones who preside over the Trabasa session of our party, the distinguished, accomplished, astute, robust, vigilant, ideologue, a compatriot. More back in what you have my money.
Manda!
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. If you just joined us, welcome. You've been there. We say thank you for being there. This is from Page Africa. We are here live at the headquarters of
Just
the
pass quietly and have your seat, please.
Congress for Democratic Change. That by as extension, that's the Coalition for Democratic Change. We are here giving you,
Before we read out to you
bringing you live this
a
press
prepared
conference.
text aimed at addressing a very important and pertinent national issue, I'd like to ask all citizens at home, around this conference table, at your places of work, in the counties, abroad, I'd like to ask all of you to kindly rise to your feet. I'll observe a moment of silence in the passing of some of our compatriots of recent. Thank you. Please have your seats. We'd like to emphasize that the CDC is grieved by any loss of life.
We are a sensitive political institution that reflects the collective interests of the Liberian people and those that reside within our borders, including those that are passing through our borders. All human lives are valuable to us, irrespective of status or creed, irrespective of sex or religion or tribe or ethnicity. Every human life is important to us. And we are grieved by the passing of some of our compatriots, as announced in recent times by different media outlets. That's why we have set up a special committee to reach out to the families of the deceased, to express our deepest condolences and sympathy, and to work to console members of the bereaved families at whatever level that is possible. We have appointed parties, Elliot and Agilog, with the Minopizo Sedita as chair of that committee, co-chaired by the chairperson of the Women League. We also appointed a youth chair on that committee. Secretary General Janga Ko is also on that committee. They will reach out to members of the bereaved families to express how grieved we are as a political institution in the passing of our compatriots, and to pray for God's consolation upon the families, and to offer our assistance in whatever way possible, because we see Liberia as a hut, a singular hut, and all of us are residents of that hut. Whatever affects one member affects the other. So if someone is lost, irrespective of which side the person stood, we are concerned. When it comes to human life, we don't see political party. We see value that runs beyond tribe, ethnicity, religion, creed, sex, etc. Having said that, we want to commend the wisdom of the President, His Excellency George Manawia, to have announced the formation of a committee with international dimension to investigate the deaths of some of our brothers and sisters, and to establish the fight which will be clearly put out to the public, because we are especially interested in the inclusion or the invitation that has been extended to the United States Embassy to help support or to form part of the investigative mechanism. That's important, because sometimes they say the prophet is not respecting his own home. So that precludes or prevents any perception that the investigative process as is going to be launched is prejudiced. So the international dimension added by the President's wisdom is very commendable, because we have absolute confidence in the integrity of our friends, our traditional or stepfather called Uncle Sam, and their capacity, of course, to help us. We also have confidence in our local law enforcement practitioners and whomever that has been added on our investigative team to do their work. So the inclusion of the United States Embassy is a good thing that we commend, and the President continue to show wisdom in handling national matters in a way that it will keep our country stable and ensure lives are protected. The Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change frowns on the ongoing melee between the Liberia Telecommunications Authority and mobile network operators, which is Orange and Lone Star, and calls for a speedy resolution in the matter. We call on the LTE and GSM companies to resolve all disagreements in the soonest possible time to provide relief for Liberians. The leadership of the Coalition for Democratic Change decries the breakdown of dispute resolution mechanism between the LTE and GSM companies, noting that it is this breakdown that led to litigation, culminating in the recent Supreme Court ruling favoring the government of Liberia. We believe, despite this ruling, both sides should return to the dispute resolution mechanism enshrined in the Act establishing the LTA or to other suitable frameworks that place the Supreme Court ruling in its proper context. The CDC warns the GSM companies to refrain from any form of political machination or collusion, which is a crime of economic sabotage that indirectly plays the ordinary people against their own government. While we do not aim to dwell on details of recent pronouncements by GSM companies, the recent price changes announced by both companies have elements of collusion and unlawful profiteering, which is punishable under the laws of the Republic of Liberia. We remind the GSM companies that it is always the interest of the government of Liberia to protect businesses and their investments, but to do so in a way that enhances the interest of the Liberian people. The CDC reminds Liberians that LTA's policy of floor pricing was intended to protect Lone Star Cell MTN from an aggressive price race to the bottom that was being waged by Orange Liberia. A cutthroat competition that would have led to Lone Star Cell going out of business. The government worked to protect Lone Star in order to provide a level playing field and save hundreds of Liberian jobs that would have been redundant by Lone Star Cell MTN. Sadly, today it is the very Lone Star Cell that is acting in a manner contrary to the interests of the Liberian people, thereby ignoring the positive intervention of the government of Liberia to save them from potential bankruptcy. The CDC also admonishes the LTA to exercise care and prudence when announcing policies that have implications on our people and that may pose risk to the reputation of the government of Liberia, which is pro-poll to its core. Lest we forget, it was this government that declared free tuition at public universities. This is the same government currently paying WASS fees for high school students. It is this government that raised the income of more than 15,000 government employees, some of whom were making as low as $45 per month under the Unity Party-led government. We encourage the LTA to reflect these proposed attributes in its policy formulation processes moving forward, which will benefit the ordinary Liberian people that we've always defended and will always protect. In conclusion, the Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change calls on all citizens, partisans, and sympathizers to remain calm as President George Manuel Weah has taken seize of the surcharge disagreements between the Liberia Telecommunications Authority and GSM companies. The party notes that further discussions surrounding the legal and financial ramifications of the surcharges are ongoing, and we assure the Liberian people that we return to status quo in the pricing of data and calls in the shortest possible time. Lastly, the National Executive Committee of the Coalition for Democratic Change calls on partisans involved in planned protest actions to cut off such plans in the interest of national peace and stability. In seeking to address grievances, the party encourages its members to utilize the existing organizational or judicial platforms to deal with pertinent governance issues, ruling out protests as a means to an end, especially at this time. Henceforth, the CDC calls on all members and sympathizers that all towns remain peaceful and law-abiding through all this campaign and beyond. Thank you very much. We will now submit for the press and await questions that may arise out of this press briefing or that need our response. Thank you.
Amanda. Amanda. Thank you. That was the voice of the chairman of the tripartite session of our party. On speakers, they provide an official position on behalf of the Mali Coalition for Democratic Change. So we now move to the question aspect, and we'd like to appeal to you to restrict your questions on the basis of the nature of the press conference. So we'll take about four questions. So please, as we call you, recognize you, call your name, and tell us which institution you report from. Thank you ever so much. Yeah, we'll take the fellow.
Okay. I just inside a report for 2 seconds. Chairman Molo, I listened to you, you sound disappointed in Lufthansa MTN. If I may ask, were there any prior discussions that you had with Lufthansa MTN prior to the placement of surcharges on the tops?
Last question. Let's just do 4 questions.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Peter Boinga. I'm a multimedia journalist. According to you, the president has taken seize of the ongoing data matter. Are there any specific time frame?
Third question.
Yes.
My name is Andrew Johnson, and I report for OKFM. The CDC, like any other political party, don't have the jurisdiction over the regulation of GSM companies. And the LTA ordered them to replace or bring back whatever they took away in 24 hours, and it was not done. What made you believe that you saying as a CDC will regulate them to do what you as a party want them to do? And if it is so, or will be, when should the people expect that to happen?
Last question.
My name is Antoinette and I report for MCCTV. Chairman Moluba, are you trying to tell us that Lufthansa MTA is behind whatever things that are happening as it relates to the data surges in the country?
Thank you. So let's take the last question first. In the first place, the Lufthansa GSM company and the Orange Liberia GSM company are 2 data service providers that are responsible to sell data to subscribers. And so if there is, mind you that process is not operating in the vacuum. There is a legislation or there are statutes that govern how data may be transmitted business-wise to our customers or the subscribers. And if there is going to be a change in the data service plan, that change has to commensurate with regulations laid down by law, of course, which is supervised by the Telecommunications Authority. So in the event where that process is violated and placing burden on customers and subscribers who are our partisans and citizens, it is our responsibility to make intervention to call for the speedy consideration of a decision that operates outside statute and laws. And so to come back to your question, of course, Lone Star Cell and Orange Liberia are responsible for the increase in the price in data pricing. And what is more troubling is the Liberia Telecommunications Authority is in disagreement with the amendment of pricing. In fact, there was a statement released giving a specific time framework ultimatum for these communication companies to restitute lost data that may have been taken from consumers and customers, quote unquote, arbitrarily or illegally. That has not been done. So we are intervening on the side of the people, the Liberian people. We are not shareholders of Lone Star on Orange. We are shareholders of the right of the Liberian people. We are shareholders of the people's interest. So the situation with Orange Liberia and Lone Star Cell, of course, in the data pricing belief, in our view, is unwarranted in reference to the LTA regulation which was announced and ultimately given them to return the status quo ante. So our interest is the two companies should return to status quo ante. How do they do that? With bringing into your question. There was a process, there was a negotiation process that was stalled or broke down. How it broke down, we don't have the details. But it is that breakdown of negotiation that led to a litigation at the Supreme Court, which of course came out favorable to the government of Liberia. So we would like to see both parties, the LTA and communication companies operating within our borders, to return to the bargaining table and to sort out whatever discrepancies that may exist leading to the litigation. Even though the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the government, but we are also interested in ensuring that the rights of mobile GSM subscribers, GSM companies are protected. We also want to see Lone Star Cell doing business here, just as we want to see Orange Liberia doing business here. But the interest of the people encompasses the interest of private entities. So the way the middle ground has to be that the LTA and GSM the burden of our people to allow them to do business, to allow them to make calls without experiencing financial difficulties as it is right now. But under the circumstances, the process is deplorable and we don't support it. We want to see a return of data companies to status quo ante. The people's credits, the people's data should be returned to their phones in twofold, just as LTA has ruled and automated that they do that. And so no company in Liberia, in the private sector or even in the public sector, operates in a vacuum. There are laws. The laws have to be respected. And I think Lone Star Cell Liberia should also be in that position, just as Orange Liberia, to respect our laws and respect the rights of subscribers. The people cannot be punished for misunderstanding between LTA and GSM company. The people should not be the bearers of the greatest responsibility or the financial burden. So that financial burden placed on the people should be lifted. The data that was taken from every subscriber mobile phone should be restored so that the people can experience communication without the burden they are going through now as mobile cell or the data subscribers. So that's where we stand as a political party. To speak to your question, CDC is the party in power. We are a democratic institution that was supported overwhelmingly by the Liberian people to the presidency. If you are a mobile cell company that don't take seriously recommendations from the party that is intended to balance or to create equilibrium in the business sector, then I don't know who else you were listening to, because we are a governing architecture that is taken very seriously by major stakeholders. And we are simply calling for a return to the status quo ante. So I think it's going to be listened to. I think in the next few days, the LTA and the GSM companies will continue to engage. I think in the next few days, there will be some positive development that will ease the burden on our people. So I don't take it like they wouldn't respect the party's view on this issue, which is very substantial and very important to resolving the melee between the two different institutions. Now, besides that, as stressed in the press statement, the LTA also has to be very careful. When you are crafting policies, the LTA is not an entity in a vacuum. LTA is a part of the governance architecture. It's a part of the people's mandate. They need to learn and follow the pattern of the Liberian president, essentially George Weah, who remains pro-poor to the end. This is a pro-poor party that takes policies that are pro-poor driven. So it is important to stress every agency of government that institutionalizes policies. Those policies must always commensurate with the agenda of the party which is represented by the president. you cannot draw policies that is seen as anti-people. So in formulating those policies as spelled out in the press statement, the LTA must always be cognizant of the need to instill in their policy mechanisms the interest of the Liberian people. We are here first and foremost to ensure the Liberian people are served, that their interest is maximally protected. We are here to maximize the collective potential of the public. That's why we're here. So if any governing institution will deviate from that, then they have the power to contend with. So we think that
Manda! Oh, say! Luther.
So we think LTA, now have they done something wrong yet? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying moving forward, they've got to be protective of the governing manifesto of the people entrusted to our charge. Now, GSM companies, as a last statement on this issue, cannot also operate in the vacuum. There are laws in this country. Now, we were very clear that the actions of some companies will indicate collusion. Collusion demonstrated means a process where you work in unity with opposition groupings to undermine the democratic process. The interest of the people is tied to national security because it is the people that get power. Power is inherent in the people. So when you try to tamper with the interest of millions of people, then you are trying to push your country on the precipice of national security collapse. We do not want that. This data process is a very significant issue that should warrant the urgent attention of these GSM companies. The people money must be restored to their phone because their monies were taken.
Viva, viva, CDC, viva!
Viva! And so we are thankful that the president has taken seize of the matter, meaning he himself has intervened. Our confidence does not lie in Orange Liberia intervention or Lone Star Cell intervention. Our confidence rests squarely on the intervention of the president to ensure this issue is resolved in a timely and immediate fashion. So we are very confident that now that Liberia's first and only pro-poor president has intervened, this issue now is going to be resolved. Our advice is to data companies, return to the arrangement that broke down, which led to a Supreme Court ruling. Go to the arrangement, go to the table, LTA, go back to the table, resolve the issue. But we are confident, and that's why we're having this press conference, because the man that matters, the man that is the biggest voice, the man that has the biggest muscle, the man that is strongest for the poor people has intervened. And it's that intervention now that gives us the guarantee. So thank you very much. God bless you. I'll turn over to the presiding president of this press conference, Mr. Jonathan Tamakoji. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the chairperson. That has been the voice of our chairperson, and we want to re-emphasize to you, don't take this party for joke. We do not speak in vacuum. We are a very purposeful, driven institution. We were born from the belly of the masses. We protect their interest. You can go to bed on this. The issues of data have been settled. This party has spoken with absolute certainty. We're not on an arrangement that can be second guessing. We do not second guess. The chairperson is the biggest intelligent officer of this country. So he knows every other thing. So you can have a copy. Yeah.
Listen, Mom, I do.
And you take into consideration, the chairman also called on. There was a planned protest on 14. Those people who happen to be our partisans, the chairperson has said that decision is aborted immediately. If you're a member of our party, we take instruction of So that's it.
So thank you.